hospitales.
Okay, we've leveled up and it is time to pick another language. Morfar är tröttare än vanligt. Maten är färdig. And let's see what we're doing when we get back. Greek! We're doing Greek when we get back. Ben neredeyse her gün okula gidelim. Fun fact. Turkish. Hello, Shakespeare. How you doing? Fun fact, in Spanish, the word for bishop in chess is alfil. And that actually comes from Arabic. Fil. The same word fil as this. Meaning elephant, because the bishop traditionally was to represent elephant units somehow. Similarly, in Russian, the word for bishop is squab, and that also means elephant. Okay. 10-159. Haven't made a huge dent in it, but we're getting there. Okay, gonna do some Chinese now. Night. Night. Come on. Yen. Yo. 5. Ducks are drinking wine. Bamba. Okay, Bambas is ducks. Okay, I have now leveled up. Let's see what the XP situation is now. 10,340 out of 12,500. And, as always, viewers can choose my next language for me just with a follow and a $5 to my Patreon. I buy a computer. Or quack, and here's another example. I like to point these out. For this word for or, quack sound Hello and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise, where we are continuing the extremely treacherous climb up to, well, hopefully the top of Ruby League, or at least back to second place, which is the best I've managed, because there's one person who has been lengths and lengths ahead the whole time. Right now we're in 4th. And we're gonna see how well we can do about that. This might be a relatively short stream because I've had a really long day. I got very little sleep last night and I've been just up and doing all sorts of things, including a surprisingly challenging hike starting about 8 this morning. So I'm a little bit exhausted. Did want to mention the Polyglot Conference Global, which is an online event, will be on the 1st of October, and they've started selling tickets. I'm just going to drop the link in chat. Going for 30 quid, although free tickets are available for people who can't afford that. That is a suggested donation. And with that, and that's just like to say, that's a great event. I highly recommend checking it out. It's wonderful people. I've participated in a couple. I've done 2 gatherings, 2 polyglot gatherings, and 1 conference. And they've all just been wonderful. It's just people who are into languages, talking about languages, sharing ideas about how to learn them. And you have these like language practice chat rooms. And the cool thing is apparently apparently this year the donation to get into the online polyglot conference actually covers a year's access as well to the online infrastructure, like the group chats and things like that. So it seems pretty worthwhile to me, and you just meet some great people there. I highly recommend it. With that, let us get started. Now, wait a second, I gotta arrange some windows so I can see what's going on. Just make sure that crop is okay before we get started. There we go. And we're starting out with some Japanese. Subsequently, we will be randomly selecting other languages using the iMask randomization. We're going to start out with Japanese because I've been getting some good instructive content out of that. And I like Japanese. It's fun to speak. I don't get to speak it very much. Back to Japan in ages. Let's do one of these stories. Okay, find my girlfriend. Sounds
彼女を探してくれませんか?
Okay. Now, one thing to note, kanojo means both girlfriend and she. As a word for she, it's actually kind of formal. You often would not use it. Often it would, in like more common speech, you'd say something like, その女の人とか、その女性の方とか、そういうことを言うことになりますけど、これはちょっと意識ばったもんで。So, but in colloquial speech, it also just as a noun means girlfriend.
B は空港にいます。
Okay, so we got B at the airport.
彼女はカウンターの男の人に話しかけます。
Yes, you see, カウンターの男の人. So, 男の人 is another example of the same thing. Like, instead of saying, you could say 彼, but you could also say その男の人, その男性の人, その男性の方, which is a bit more polite or formal honorific towards the person you're referring to. Now, you'll notice this is a compound verb, 話しかける, 話しかけます. And what it is when you add かける a lot of the time to a verb like 話す, which means to talk, 話しかけます becomes like, it becomes, when you add that かける, it can mean to try to do the thing, to almost do the thing, or to, like, in this case, to start a conversation, to approach a person and start talking to them.
こんにちは。いかがなさいましたか?
Okay, and here we have 敬語, highly formal language. いかが is the formal version of どう, meaning how. なさいました nasa is from なさる, which is the 敬語, polite honorific word for to do, する. いかがなさいましたか can also be said, どうしましたか? Or even in much more informal ways, どうしたの? どうしたのか? in that sort of way. There are all sorts of these levels, and it is one thing that is kind of a pain in the ass for learners at the start, but it is really important, and people really appreciate it when foreigners get it right.
バルセロナ行きの便に乗るんですが。
Okay, so somebody. Here's the thing. Okay, this is an implied subject. Barcelona yuki no bin. Okay, on the flight to Barcelona ni norun desu ga. Now, she could be saying that she personally is getting on the flight to Barcelona, or that could mean that somebody else is. Although, without any context, you'd assume that she's talking about herself there.
飛行機の中で彼女の隣に座りたいんです。
Oh, okay, yes. So, の隣に。
かしこまりました。隣り合った2席がございます。
Okay, again, very keigo. Kashikomarimashita is the keigo version of wakarimashita. In fact, it is a term you will hear this more in customer service than just about anywhere else. Similarly, 隣り合った2席がございます。ございます is あります。It is the formal keigo version of aru. And the difference is, the thing is about gozaru, gozaimasu, is you've got, it doesn't work quite the same way grammatically as aru. For example, with adjectives, for example, or also in terms of how you would use it to say that somebody is something. It doesn't work quite the same way. But in any case, that's what's going on here. So, 2席, 2 seats, and 隣り合う means that they are right together. 隣 means like next to, neighboring, and 合う in this case means, they're right together. They are side by side. So, 隣り合った2席がございます is in less formal but more polite language, you could also say 隣り合った2席があります There are 2 neighboring seats.
よかった。
And this is the past tense of e, which means good. And it's used to mean, oh, in this case, when you hear よかった it means, oh yeah, that's great.
お連れ様はどちらにいらっしゃいますか?
Okay. お連れ様, very formal way of saying the person you're going with. 連れ means like an accompanying person. お連れ様. That's 2 different keigo things attached to make it like just a keigo bonanza. どちら is the formal way of saying どこ. There is one for all of these, like こここちら そこそちら あそこあちら どこどちら and this sort of thing exists. There's a great book on this. If you want to learn about these speech levels, I should have mentioned it. I brought this subject up and I can't believe I've forgotten to mention it because it really is great. It's from a series called Power Japanese. And I don't know if it's still in print, but I really hope it is. If it's not, maybe you can find it secondhand someplace. But it is an excellent series. And there's one called T-shirt versus necktie Japanese. And it is all about understanding how these speech levels, particularly formal and this formal, heavily polite speech like this keigo, and more informal language is used, and when you would use it, and all the different features, like this dochira instead of doko, and irashaimasu is the same, is the keigo form of imasu. When people are saying irashaimase, as you come into a store, what they're saying is be. Essentially, it is the extremely polite imperative of be, meaning like welcome, come in.
わからないんです。彼女を探してくれませんか？
Okay, I don't know. Could you could you look for her for me? I mean, the thing is, the way this has been done so far, I mean, we know just from the title of the story that Kanojo means girlfriend, but she hasn't said anything in the context that you would immediately know that. She's just, it could just as well, like a listener unaware of that context could think that it means just she. Just she. I'm just testing out the audio levels. I'm just testing out the audio levels. I turn that down a bit. I'm just testing out the audio levels. I turn that down a bit. Okay, sorry for all the echoing. I've added this background music, and it's complicated because I have two kinds of audio output that are both being streamed. And so I can't just adjust the volume of one and have them all come out well. I have to adjust them separately and make sure that they work relatively. It's all a little bit complicated. It's something that I'm kind of just working my way through. But let us continue.
お連れ様はどのような外見ですか？
Okay, and here's another example of this. Okay, so お連れ様 we just talked about. どのような. This is and this is another thing, and this is discussed in the book I was talking about, which, seriously, if you want to learn this, look for it. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find a copy of this, and I will drop a link in chat. T-shirt, necktie, Japanese. Power, Japanese. Yes, yeah, we got it on Amazon. As a paperback. This is an old book. They don't have Kindle, which is really a pity. Oh no, but wait, it's in print. They have used from 753. And here, I'm going to drop this in chat, this link. Because this is really an excellent book on this subject, and it covers the stuff that I'm talking about here. Like, for example, this, どのような外見. Now, どのような is the highly formal way of saying どんな, like what kind of. And 外見 is 外, which means outside. It's the same as like 外人 or 外国人 or 外国. And 見 is the same kanji as is used for 見る, see. So 外見 means like external appearance. So どのような外見 means what kind of external appearance. I mean, another way you could say this, どのような姿形をしていますか? 姿形 means like the shape of their image, the shape of their external appearance. But 外見 is shorter anyway. So どのような外見ですか? Like what she looked like.
私の彼女は背が高いです。そして髪が黒いです。
Okay, so she's tall and she has black hair.
かしこまりました。
それにスポーツが大好きです。
Wait. Okay, this isn't an answer to the question. She says, okay, and she likes sports. She, loves sports. But, I mean, that's a description of her personality, really. 人格のことだろうが。
動物も大好きです。でも、運転中にスピードを出しすぎます。
ああ、外見の話ではなくなったね、特に。Yeah, okay, so she also... Yeah, this is... Yeah, Ich wollte die schon länger ausprobieren und also mit Japanisch habe ich dann angefangen und es ist interessant und da lassen sich eigentlich tolle Inhalte machen, also was die japanische Sprache betrifft, denn es gibt alle möglichen Aspekte, die hier ja sozusagen ja halt auftreten und ja, ja, und die sind auch nicht schlecht gemacht, obwohl ich sagen muss, man müsste eigentlich auch die Kanji mit einbeziehen, denn erstens liest sich das besser, wenn man die schon kennt, und zweitens muss man die halt lernen. Also Kanji-freies Japanisch gibt es eigentlich nirgends. Also es gibt Kanji-freies Japanisch auf der NHK-Seite, also ganz besonders für also Leute, die Japanisch als Fremdsprache lernen. Aber im Alltag gibt es das nirgends. Und es ist auch schwieriger, ohne Kanji zu lesen. Okay, 動物も大好きです。でも運転中にスピードを出しすぎます。Yeah, this has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with what she looks like. This is her, we're talking personality. She tends to speed a bit, and she also loves animals.
そうですか。お連れ様のお名前は何ですか？
Okay, お名前 note that is namae name, but since we're talking in customer service grade keigo, it is of course お名前 asking what's her name. He's trying to help him. Well, we don't actually know this for sure. We assume that he's trying to help Bea find her. Which, I'm starting to think, is that supposed to, I mean, I read that as Bea, as short for Beatriz. Especially she's flying to Barcelona. I don't know. But then in Japanese it's written B.
あ、知りません。
Okay, she doesn't know her name.
え？彼女の名前をご存じないんですか？
Okay, ご存じない is 知らない. Yeah, it is, see, ご存じである, ご存じある, ご存じです is, again, high-end keigo, high-end polite speech for the word to know, 知る. So you could also say 彼女の名前を知らないですか? And it would mean the same thing, but it would be way less polite, and you would not hear it in a customer service situation. Now, the thing to note is you would never use ご存じない or ご存じある, ご存じです, etc. To refer to yourself. This is always referring to the person you're talking to or the person you're talking about. If you're talking about somebody you want to be honorific about. Yeah, if you were to use this stuff to describe yourself, it would be like using the royal we, except more so somehow.
私にはまだ彼女がいないんです。
Wait, she's buying a second seat? Okay, she hasn't got a girlfriend, but she's buying a second seat just in case. And she's using this guy as like some sort of bootleg backdoor Tinder?
私に彼女を探してくれませんか?
Oh, this is really well done. This actually illustrates an important aspect of Japanese that I keep coming back to. The Japanese often leaves out things that you would consider totally essential in English and in other languages. See, watashi, let me just go back. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. 彼女を探してくれませんか? Now, the way you read this the first time, is that could be, could you find my girlfriend for me, or could you find her for me, look for her for me. Okay. Now, we go over here. 私に彼女を探してくれませんか? Now, this means basically, it's basically the same as we've added watashi ni, which means for me in this case. The rest of it is the same. 彼女を探してくれませんか? Except that we've gone from, in Japanese, without changing a single word, to a specific known person who exists in the world, to an abstract person whose existence has yet to be determined. That go from finding my girlfriend to finding me a girlfriend, and it's the same words. And this is something you just have to get used to in Japanese and Korean. She wants to sit next to someone who snores loudly. Oh. Otsure-sama. Yeah, and also, see, you would not refer to your own companion as Otsure-sama. So, 背が高いの中料理知りません. Ja, also Koreanisch funktioniert, also syntaktisch eigentlich sehr ähnlich wie Japanisch. Okay. So we're gonna do some conversation mode.
彼女を探してくれませんか？ B は空港にいます。彼女はカウンターの男の人に話しかけます。
こんにちは。いかがなさいましたか？
バルセロナ行きの便に乗るんですが。
Yes.
飛行機の中で彼女の隣に座りたいんです。
飛行機の中で彼女の隣に座りたいんです。Now, another thing to note is this ですが. Now, if you look at like glossary entries and things like that, that ga will often be treated as but it actually often can be an and. It is often a way. And in Korean there is a very close equivalent in nunde, which also suggests, you know, it can indicate a contradiction. It can indicate a but is coming up, but it can also just mean that this thing is happening, and in some perhaps not specified relationship to that other thing that's happening, this other thing is going on. You know, it's kind of, it often indicates, you know, this, that the bit before the ga is context for what's following. For example, in this case, I'm on the flight to Barcelona is context for the bit where she says, 飛行機の中で彼女の隣に座りたいんです。I want to sit with my girlfriend is how we read it initially, but it actually means a girlfriend. On the flight.
かしこまりました。隣り合った2席がございます。
It's a really expensive way to meet somebody.
よかった。
お連れ様はどちらにいらっしゃいますか？
わからないんです。彼女を探してくれませんか？
お連れ様はどのような外見です？
私の彼女は背が高いです。そして髪が黒いです。
Okay.
かしこまりました。
それにスポーツが大好きです。
動
物も大好きです。でも運転中にスピードを出しすぎます。
Wait, and that last bit is a bit weird. Is she specifically, it turns out this is a person she hasn't met who she is specifying characteristics of. And she specifies one of her desired characteristics is that she drives too fast.
そうですか。お連れ様のお名前は何ですか？
あ、知りません。
彼女の名前をご存知ないんですか？
Yes, okay.
私にはまだ彼女がいないんです。私に 彼女を探してくれませんか？
Kami. And it's worth noting, this is another example of why kanji are important. Because kami can also mean, depending on which kanji you use and what your context is, it can mean paper, it can mean above, and it can also mean God. And in sort of a jocular slang, it can be used to refer to one's wife, kami-san. And all of these things are kami, except they're written differently with different kanji. Watashi no kanojo no naka ni ryori. Okay. So we've completed the story, and now we're gonna just do some leveling up stuff, okay? Do feelings, why not? Tanoshii.
楽しい。学校は楽しいですか？学校は楽しいです。
あ、
か。
面白い本を読みました。
I read an interesting book. Omoshiroi can mean interesting. It can also mean like funny or fun as well. 練習は、yeah.
面白くないです。
とても面白かったです。
That was very interesting. How are you doing, Tristan? Wie geht's denn dir? 楽しい。
楽しい。
面白い。
面白い。と。
危ない。
危ない。
泊まり。
楽しいから。ピアノを弾きます。楽しい。自動車。危ない。面白い。と。
楽しくないですか？
面白いから日本語を勉強します。
I study Japanese because it is interesting.
楽しくないですか？楽しくないですか？面白かったですか？
And actually, see, this is an example with the speech levels. You can leave the des out and you have the plain version. 面白かった面白かったか? Oh shit, I didn't. Actually, I somehow missed the that book part of this.
このテレビはあまり面白くない。
This TV is... Yeah, I mean... Not that interesting.
その本は面白かったですか？その本は面白かったですか？
面白いから日本語を勉強します。
楽しいからピアノを弾きます。楽しいからピアノを弾きます。
この映画はとても
面白かった。
Okay. No this. Okay, so this is specifically... it's not It's not. Oh, hello, Kit Pigeon. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. I mean, it's not tonal, it's pitch accent, which sometimes behaves similar, but often it can feel, if you don't know exactly what you're doing, it can sometimes feel like just regular stress. You can get the impression that it is just normal stress or something like that. And the thing about pitch accent is it varies regionally. Like, in Kansai, a lot of the time, the pitch accent actually is the opposite. It gives Kansai its sort of characteristic sound. It's a whole lot.
その本は面白かったですか?
Yeah, I mean, let me just let you in on something. I actually... Okay. I studied Japanese for about 10 years, starting in the late 1980s, till before I got, like, fluent, and like 5 more years before I started regularly just being assumed to be Japanese on the phone, and sometimes, sometimes actually, because, like, Japanese friends of mine occasionally wanted to play jokes on friends of theirs, and, like, they would, like, wind their friends up, you know, introduce me to somebody else, and, you know, I would say hi in Japanese, you know, domo yoroshiku onegaishimasu, hajimemashite, and everything, and they'd be like, oh yeah, she's Japanese, actually, and they would, like, actually sort of buy that for, like, how they would indulge the possibility, well, I say this because I did not even hear the term pitch accent until like a year ago. I had never actually actively attempted to acquire it. I just got it from listening, and I actually thought for the most part that it was just like stress. You know, I didn't actually know that what I was doing was called pitch accent, and I wasn't deliberately setting out to do it. It was just, you know, I was kind of, you know, going by what I heard. Okay. Now we... Oh, wait, we have not leveled up. 1 of 5.
その映画は怖いです。
I had a long day today. And I'm a little bit scatterbrained as well.
その映画は怖いです。その映画は怖いです。
Where are you joining us from, Kit Pigeon?
I
愛とは何ですか?
Is love. Bloody foreigners coming in here wanting to know what love is?
昨日はとても疲れていました。昨日はとても疲れていました。
今日はとても疲れてるわ。
私は彼氏を愛しています。
I love my boyfriend. Now, it's implied that it's my. Theoretically, it could be somebody else's.
この映画は怖かったですか? この映画は怖かったですか?
Was the movie scary?
お父さんは疲れていますか?
Is your father tired? This could also be used to, if you're talking to a sibling, to ask if father is tired.
私の先生は少し怖いです。
Now, this is one. There are a couple of different ways you could say this. It could be translated also as. 私の先生は少し怖いです. It could also be translated accurately as actually a little scared of my teacher. Like, the kawaii sort of can be read various ways.
夜の学校は怖いです。
School is scary at night. 面白い。
楽しい。
面白い。
面白い。
怖い。
怖い。
楽しい。
楽しい。
愛。
愛。
疲れ。
疲れ。
疲れ is also a noun. Like, yeah, it is the noun of 疲れる to be tired or get tired. So you could say, それは疲れのせいです。That's because I'm tired. That is because of tiredness. 私を愛しています。This is okay. I cannot imagine a situation in which you would say it this way. 私を愛していますか? Like if you were doing like the Japanese subs of I don't if you know Korean and you watch Isagan Gyonosa Uyong which is in English Extraordinary Attorney Woo. You notice she's always using the hyper formal imida form, even when she's talking to her dad, even when she's talking to her dude. And that is like the only context in which I can imagine somebody saying, 私を愛していますか? As in the meaning of, do you love me? Because it is just the word you is nowhere in this Japanese sentence. It's just 私を愛していますか? Love me, do or does love me, interrogative. So this could also mean, does he love me, does she love me, do they love me? And then you could be asking somebody who you have to use like polite speech with, and it makes perfect sense. But as do you love me, it sounds weird as hell to be saying 私を愛していますか? Because you would not get to that point in a relationship where you're asking questions like that without getting to the point in a relationship where you would have moved on to tameguchi, and you'd be saying 私を愛してるの? 私を or 俺を愛してるのかい?
たくさん仕事をして疲れました。仕事をして疲れました。
愛とは何ですか?
今日はみんなとても疲れています。仕事をたくさんして疲れました。私の先生は少し怖いです。
My teacher is a bit scary.
彼氏を愛してて
Actually kind of curious to see if
ます。
this will be accepted, because it is very common. People will drop the e in している, しています all the time. It happens all the time. So this is not incorrect the way I'm doing this, but I have my doubts that it will be recognized by Duolingo. I'm just very curious to see. Yay! Okay. よかったぞ. That is good to see. Hey, it also means one less mouse click for me, which my wrist is very thankful for. Okay. Duify.
週末は暇ですか? 週末は暇ですか?
暇。
分かってください。 わかってください。
Please understand.
明日は暇です。
よくわかりました。よくわかりました。
病院はどこですか？困っています。
Where is the hospital? I am... Ah, shit. Okay. See, I wish they would let you drag and drop so that you could just replace things when you get them mixed up like that. I am in trouble. Cue Ralph Wiggum meme.
いつが暇ですか？いつが暇ですか？
今なんかねえよ。
この授業はいつもつまらないです。
This class is always boring. Now, the thing about Smaranai is that it has a broad spectrum of unflattering meanings. So Smaranai, it can mean boring, like they mostly translate it as boring, but it can also just mean that it sucks in other ways. It can mean that it's stupid, and it can mean that it's pointless or worthless. Like, often one way that people sort of depreciate their gifts in like polite Japanese speech would be to say, you know, this thing sucks, but here, I want you to have it. Yeah, I mean, drag and drop would be so easy to implement, I would think.
Wakari. Mashita. Ta.
昨日のパーティーはつまらなかったですか？昨日のパーティーはつまらなかったですか？
So, did yesterday's party suck?
困ってはいません。
Well, no, that is also a correct answer. 私は困っていません. But you can also just say 困ってはいません. And it is implied that it's referring to you. What this does is sort of emphasize, I'm not in trouble. I might be in some kind of a situation, but not to the point where komaru becomes the correct description of it. And that is also entirely correct. Komatte wa imasen. You'll hear that all the time. I do not, especially in Japanese and Korean, I do not blame the course creators for 1 minute for not getting all of the possibles. For not taking all the possibles into account, because there are just so many of them. It would be impossible. I mean, I'm a professional translator. I'd be lucky to get like 50-60% of them. Because, I mean, there are just so bloody many of them. To get them all in one go is impossible.
困り、暇、楽しい、疲れ。
いつ暇ですか？
When do you have free time?
昨日のパーティーはつまらなかったか。
I'm just gonna see if it'll accept plain speech. Yes, it will. Good on you. よくやったぜ。Yeah. Because occasionally it will not. So, and the nice thing is, if I don't have to use polite speech on these, it's one less mouse click and, just sort of slows down the repetitive stress injury. And it's a way of sort of testing out, which is something I'm also doing. I want to see, how accurate their proposed translations are and how many different alternatives they're taking into account. And so it's nice to see that they got that one.
日本語の授業が全然わかりません。困ります。
I do not understand Japanese class at all. I am in trouble.
困りました。財布がありません。
Now, often, okay, this is very literal. 困りました。困った。Yeah, I mean, literally it's like I'm in trouble. Or, you know, you're in trouble potentially. Or somebody else is in trouble. But often you will hear it used as an exclamation, and then it's like saying, damn. You know, oh hell. 困った。財布がねえ。You know, fucking hell, my wallet's gone. I am in trouble. My wallet is missing. 暇。
暇。
困り。
困り。面白い。怖い。楽しい。
私は困っていません。
Okay. 3 of 5.
宿題は大変です。宿題は大変です。
美味しかったです。
It was delicious.
果物は高かったです。果物は高かったです。美味しかった。
Yay! やるね、お前も。Another one where they take plain speech into account. Nice to see it. I will drink water to that, because I am bloody dehydrated. I went on one hell of a challenging hike today. I mean, it is listed as moderate on the trail map, and I have no reason to disagree with that characterization. But it was a lot more than I've done in the past couple of years. Lots of uphill climbs.
怖い映画は嫌ですか？怖い映画は嫌ですか？
なぜ困っていますか？
Why are you troubled? Troubled isn't quite right then. Troubled kind of indicates some sort of psychological issue. When you say なぜ困っていますか, you're often referring to somebody is in a bad situation. Often you will say it can often mean like money is the problem. But in general, it suggests a bad situation as opposed to a bad internal state.
あまり良くなかったです。あまり良くなかったです。
It was not very good, which in Japanese can mean everything from it was not very good to it totally sucked shit.
家の掃除は大変です。
Housework is tough. Except, 家の掃除, that isn't, housework is not how I would translate that. I translate it as house cleaning. 家の掃除 does not encompass all housework. 掃除 is just cleaning. So, I mean, that doesn't cover a lot of what falls under housework, like, you know, cooking, for example, bloody laundry, and I mean, well, laundry does, washing does, but ironing really does not fall under soji. So, I would not really translate it this way. I would say house cleaning or cleaning house is tough.
美味しくなかった
どうして朝ごはんを食べないんですか？
Why are you not eating breakfast?
その映画はなぜ怖いんですか？その映画はなぜ怖いですか？
怖いんですか? Okay, yeah, I wasn't paying close enough attention. I did not hear the You can say this actually both ways. Why is that movie scary? When you say desu ka, that which is short for no, indicates, it indicates more that you're like looking for an explanation or providing one when it's offered as a statement rather than as a question. So you could say naze kawaii desu ka, but it softens it a bit to add the
怖い映画は嫌ですか
Now, if you wanted to say it in the case of 怖い映画は嫌ですか, you would not say 嫌ですか because 嫌 is a not adjective. So you would say 怖い映画は嫌なんですか and it would have the same effect as the in the last sentence.
面白くない本は嫌です。
I do not like books that are not interesting.
その仕事は
でも
とても大変でした。
どうしてつまらなかったですか。
なぜ困っていますか。
But also, in the same way, in the same vein, you could say なぜ困ってるんですか and it would have the same effect.
パソコンは安くなかった。
The computer was not cheap.
その映画はなぜ怖いんですか。その映画はなぜ怖いんですか。
悲しい悲しい。
声も悲しそうね。
悲しい。
Okay, well done, Duolingo. あるね、お前も。Because you could say 私は悲しいです。You could also say 私は悲しい。But you can also just, and this is a very common thing in Japanese, just use the adjective 悲しい. And it means all of that already. Like, I mean, and that is very common. Like, you come in on a really hot day and it would just be totally normal to just say, tsu. You know, just the adjective hot. It means, oh, it's hot today.
嬉しくないです。
I isn't happy. Am not happy.
悲しいです。かなです。
嬉しくない。
嬉しい。
今日は気分が悪い。今日は気分が悪い。
この椅子は気持ちがいいです。
This chair is comfortable.
嬉しい。悲しい。困り。疲れ。怖い。
彼女は親切な人です。
Kid Pigeon, I imagine maybe you've already heard of this, but Dolgan on YouTube has a whole class on pitch accent. And he does amazing stuff on his Japanese phonetics. It's very interesting for me to watch because nobody ever really spent too much time on pronunciation with me. Probably, I've just always been good with pronunciation, so there probably just wasn't a whole lot to correct. But going back and noticing all these features he points out as somebody who actually really has spent a lot of his life studying just Japanese phonetics, is really, really interesting. He covers pitch accent, all sorts of interesting things about Japanese consonants that nobody told me about. But then when I go and say a Japanese word just to test it out, it's like, oh yeah, that is actually how I do it. You know, it's stuff that you might actually just acquire without realizing you're doing it, because you hear it and your tongue just kind of instinctively works out where to put itself in order to make the sound, which is something that never ceases to amaze me. Like, how the hell do we imitate vowels? Like, I can make an O sound. I cannot describe what's going on that makes this O sound. That fascinates me, and yet we can hear somebody say, like, "anojo," and we can actually, like, somehow mimic the O sound that's being used, even though nobody has given us detailed instructions about, like, where our, like, vocal cords are supposed to be put under tension or whatever's going on there. It amazes me. Anojo wa shinsetsu. She is kind. Oh, very good. Yatta wa.
彼女はいい気分です。
She is in a good mood.
彼女は親切な人です。
彼は悲しそうに私を見ました。彼は悲しそうに私を見ました。
Okay, and this is another cool feature of Japanese as an ablative language. You have this soul, which you can add after adjectives, and it indicates speculation about it. So, hanashisou, I imagine the way they're going to translate is he looked at me sadly. That it doesn't completely capture what's going on with kanashisou ni, because when you say kanashisou ni, you are expressing an opinion, a speculation as to what the person's, like, inner state of mind is. You are distancing yourself from, you're avoiding making a direct statement that he is sad, that he is looking at you sadly. He's looking at you in a way that is apparently sad. And it's an interesting feature that Japanese has. Yeah, he looked at me sadly. But there's so much more to that sentence, and it's really kind of interesting.
気分面白かったが悪い。
Okay.
気持ちいいですね。
ご親切にありがとうございます。ご親切にありがとうございます。
この椅子は気持ちいいです。
Perfect. よかった。Okay, we have leveled up. And so it is time to pick another language using the eye mask of randomization. Of course, viewers, just by giving me a follow on Twitch or a sub on YouTube and a $5 subscription to my Patreon, which will also get you immediate access to each episode of my new series, Learn Korean Through Music, I talked about on stream last night. There's a video on my YouTube talking about it. Can just pick any language for me. Any language that Duolingo does, you can just pick it and that will be my next language for a $5 tier Patreon subscription. In the meantime, we're just gonna randomly select one and then I'm gonna go on a little brief break. Need to stretch my legs. I've been alternatively running up steep hills in the woods and being cramped in the back of a car all day. And so I need to sort of shake out my knees a bit. Oh shit, I didn't pick anything. Let's try that again. Wait, not again. Okay, we're doing Hebrew apparently. Okay, and we have and just as I'm about to go on a little... Okay, we've got 2 each on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you. And don't be a stranger in chat. If you've got anything like you want to talk about, like any kind of language stuff, anything that I'm talking about that you have questions or comments about, I want to hear it. But I am going to take a little bio break right now, and thereafter, and pause the
Perfect. Okay, 3 of 4.
El hospital.
Okay, we've leveled up, and it is time to pick another language. Morfar är tröttare än vanligt. Maten är färdig. And let's see what we're doing when we get back. Greek. We're doing Greek when we get back. Ben neredeyse her gün okula gideyim. Fun fact. Turkish. Hello, Shakespeare. How you doing? Fun fact, in Spanish, the word for bishop in chess is alfil. And that actually comes from Arabic. Fil. The same word fil as this. Meaning elephant, because the bishop traditionally was to represent elephant units somehow. Similarly, in Russian, the word for bishop is squad, and that also means elephant. Okay. 10-159. Haven't made a huge dent in it, but we're getting there. Okay, gonna do some Chinese now. Nej. Nej. Man. Igen. Jo. 5. Ducks are drinking wine. Bambas. Bamba, okay, Bambas is ducks. Okay, I have now leveled up. Let's see what the XP situation is now. 10,340 out of 12,500. And, as always, viewers can choose my next language for me just with a follow and a $5 to my Patreon. I buy a computer or quack, and here's another example. I like to point these out. For this word for or, quack sounds vaguely like Hogun and the hok in Hogun in Korean or Waku in Japanese, and that's because it is the exact same kind of character. Oh, I see. This is Dikhe Ishai Boy, which means do you want food? But yeah, are you hungry? That kind of thing. How are the boys? Cine da boy. Posso Milao. Pote. Buenas, proteine. Utros. Protocolo. In the designated chicken eating area, obviously.
Monsieur. Livre. Liwe livre.
Mathieu. Yeah. Si. Isopi. Mathieu. Proč? Inte. Počkej. A. Si.
Oedden coginio panas. Jacob. Hefed. 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 Hek. Hek. Hek.
Mwalimu.
This is Arabic. And it's from Mu'allim.
Juma ni mwalimu mke.
Oh, things speak cat sons. Meow and the pictures of the fish. That's they were proud.
Sööpä. Pupu. Yrittävä. Uraista. Omena.
Are in the city center. And it's got some interesting aspects to it.
여자는 어느 나라에 있습니까? 여자는 어느 나라에 있습니까? 여자는 어느 나라에 있습니까?
Countries for living things.
兄の名前は
Perfect. Okay, 3 of 4.
El hospital.
Okay, we've leveled up and it is time to pick another language. Morfar är tröttare än vanligt. Maten är färdig. And let's see what we're doing when we get back. Greek. We're doing Greek when we get back. Ben neredeyse her gün okulandayım. Fun fact. Turkish. Hello, Shakespeare. How you doing? Fun fact, in Spanish, the word for bishop in chess is alfil. And that actually comes from Arabic. Fil. The same word fil as this. Meaning elephant, because the bishop traditionally was to represent elephant units, somehow. Similarly, in Russian, the word for bishop is squab, and that also means elephant. Okay. 10-159. Haven't made a huge dent in it, but we're getting there. Okay, gonna do some Chinese now. Night. Night. Come on.
And I'm back. Okay, and Okay, just getting the next background music queued up since this one is about to end. As we go on to do some Hebrew. Oh, did I already update that? Restream, update the title of Oh, that's where it is, of course.
Do not buy solar panels.
Okay, and it is time for Hebrew.
החתולה שלו הייתה במטבח.
His chatula cat was in the kitchen, I think. Chatula. Okay, chatula is cat.
מי היה פה?
Who was here?
בעבר היה להם כלב.
In the past, they had a dog.
מתי היית שם?
Why? No, when were you there?
איפה היית אתמול?
Where were you yesterday?
בעבר היינו חלשים.
In the past, we were weak.
היה לנו חדר אורחים לבן.
היה לנו חדר at a white guest room.
לא הייתי בבית כל היום.
I have not been home all day. אלא הוא מדבר רק על העבר. Why does he only talk about the past?
לא היה לך מעיל?
Didn't you have a coat?
לא היה לכם בית ברחוב הזה בשנות ה-90?
Hello, Yanwa. Welcome to the stream. I feel like I might have seen you in chat before. If not, if this is your first time, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. לא היה לכם בית ברחוב הזה בשנות ה-90. Didn't they have a house on this street in the 90s? Didn't you, right? Have a house in the street. Oh, on the street in the 90s. Ah, moi aussi. Ah, couramment, ben, moi, j'ai 20 langues de travail. Ce sont les langues dont je exerce mes activités professionnelles comme traductrice. Il s'agit de la plupart des langues de la Union européenne, la plupart des langues principales, on dirait. Et puis, le russe, le japonais, le coréen, le yiddish et quelques autres. Et puis, il y en a une vingtaine que je peux parler plus ou moins. C'est-à-dire où je peux converser plus ou moins bien, ou seulement saluer. Ça dépend. L'hébreu, par exemple, c'est une des langues dont je parle un peu seulement, en réalité. Même si je peux le lire, là c'est bien. Et toi, t'es d'où?
כשהייתי ילד, היה לי כלב.
When I was a boy, I had a dog.
היה לו חבר מאוד חזק. היה לו חבר מאוד חזק. היא הייתה בבית כל הבוקר.
She was home all morning.
גם אנחנו היינו צעירים פעם.
We were young ones too. אצל היית כבר הרופאה? אצל c'est chez. היית דוגמתית? כבר היית אצל הרופאה? Ben, le médecin. Les Français ou Françaises?
את מי אהבת?
Whom did you love?
האם הילדים אהבו את העוגה שלי?
Did the children like my cake?
אף אחד לא ראה אותנו.
אף אחד לא ראה אותנו. No one saw us. Ouais, c'est vrai ça. Et ben, à l'école, au lycée, j'ai appris, comme tout le monde ici, un français plutôt métropolitain, parisien, mais l'endroit dont j'ai passé le plus tôt, l'endroit francophone, j'ai dit, dont j'ai passé le plus temps, c'est Montréal. Et ben, l'accent, c'est collé un peu, on dirait.
לאן הוא הלך?
J'adore les Québécois. Où elle a? Where did he go?
מה הוא מצא?
What did he find?
הלכנו לשם ביחד.
We went there together.
כמה מים שתית?
How much water did you drink? רצינו לבוא איתכם. We wanted to come with you.
אני ראיתי את זה, אתה לא.
I saw it. You didn't. Always weird how they kind of put these like contractions separately.
סליחה, לא הייתם מהירים מספיק.
You weren't fast enough. It's kind of an asshole thing to say. Sorry you weren't fast enough. Désolé, t'étais pas assez rapide.
חזרנו מביקור באוסטרליה.
חזרנו מביקור באוסטרליה. Returned from a visit to Oz.
לא מצאנו את האבטיח.
We haven't found the... Yeah, I guess it's watermelon. And now the YouTube Twitch ratio has shifted from 3 to 1. Ah, very cool. My Yiddish is way better than my Yiddish. I don't get much chance to speak it, so I kind of need a warm-up to actually talk. But, like, I can read it just fine. I understand it just fine. I mean, in some languages, I speak, I speak totally fluently once I've kind of warmed up a little bit, but I need to have that sort of mental preparation. They aren't always on. I have, like, languages that are always on, that I can just wake up and not have coffee, and I will speak in them, well as I can speak in anything when I haven't had my coffee yet. But I didn't have my coffee today at all, so... if I seem a bit scatterbrained, that's part of it. That and I want no sleep. I need to gain sloth.
היא חזרה אל הדירה, אבל כבר לא הייתי שם.
She came back to the flat, but I was no longer there. Das ist nicht recht. Ich muss erst trachten. So, yeah. You see, this is like the hardest thing that you could because it's like, just say something. I can sing some Yiddish. Yeah, I'll sing some Yiddish. Affenheuchen Ball und Affengrünen groß schmähen sich die Deitschele herabgelost die Nuss. Du Walsche sei getroffen, die Deitschele Paris. Nun hat uns gegeben das Wegele von Krieg. But like you say, you tell me speak some English, and I will also just immediately develop a mental block and not think of anything to say. So languages I speak fluently, that's like Russian, Japanese, German, Spanish, French, Italian, Norwegian, Dutch, Portuguese, English, Catalan, Swedish, Danish, I already said Norwegian, Korean, Yiddish, Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, Romanian, I already said Catalan, I already said Korean. You see, I actually have trouble. You see, I actually have trouble listing them. There are actually more than that. But this is why I prefer. This is why I just say most of the major EU languages, and then Russian, Japanese, Korean, Yiddish, and then languages I know varying degrees of some of. I mean, that's a really hard list because there's some languages I turn out to know more than I thought I did. Like, I actually am pleasantly surprised by my understanding of Hebrew, for example. Like, I mean, I'm not having to use the process of elimination much at all, which really kind of amazes me, and I'm not having to kind of go back and look at the text. I'm actually understanding it the first time I'm saying it. That's actually better than I would have expected. Then there's also Hindi, say. I can kind of get by in Chinese. My Welsh is pretty decent. You know, I can read Welsh really well. I can have a pretty good conversation. Oh, another language I forgot on the fluent list is Afrikaans. That's another of my working languages. Actually one of my favorites. It's very fun to speak. Pity they don't have Duolingo Afrikaans, but maybe they're working on it. Others would be, let's see, like, on the lower end would be like Arabic and Hebrew, but then also let me see, like Greek. Well, Dutch and Afrikaans are and aren't. Like, Afrikaans grammar is actually quite different, and it's kind of hard to get back into Dutch when you've been speaking a lot of Afrikaans, because you don't have to think about a lot of things in Afrikaans. You don't have to think, for example, for the most part, about verb tense. You don't have to think about the gender of nouns because everything is D. And there are all sorts of little things like that.
מתי שתת מים לאחרונה?
Yeah, but when did she... Wait, okay. Recently drink water. That's just the same thing, though. I can kind of understand a little. I used to be semi-conversational. I had friends in high school. There were a lot of Southeast Asian kids in my high school years ago. And when one of them, I asked one of them, a guy by the name of Huang Nguyen, you know, would he help me learn Vietnamese? And he, you know, he told all of his friends, and suddenly I had like 30 Vietnamese teachers. Everybody was interested in helping me. You know, like, they'd never heard of somebody wanting to learn it. And then, like, a couple of people from Cambodia also kind of were like, hey, so you're interested in Japanese? What do you think about Cambodia? Would you be interested? And I was like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm interested. But then I went a long time without hearing or speaking much Vietnamese at all, so I've forgotten a lot. But I've, you know, it's one I am always working on a little bit and trying to get back to a better level. It's a tonal language and I have trouble with tones. But, you know, with reading, I can actually do like halfway okay with that. I found it.
מה היא רצתה ממך?
היא רצתה ממך.
מתי הייתם בכפר הזה לאחרונה?
When did you recently... Oh wait, no. Have you recently been to this Kvar village? See, that... okay, I mean, I can't blame them. There's so many different variables.
מתי שתת מים לאחרונה?
This is annoying. When did she drink water? Water recently. It's a weird way to say it in English anyway. Like, you might say, when did she when did she drink water most recently? When did she last drink water? I mean, but you wouldn't say, when did she drink water recently? Because it's like a thing that people are constantly doing. It's...
מתי הייתם בכפר הזה לאחרונה?
When have you been to this village recently? Yeah, Vietnamese is a language I've spent a lot of time on this speedrun, actually. Less so now that I've gone over to randomization. I've got 2 of 9, this is a
נפל
long one.
אתמול.
The boy fell yesterday.
הילדה אכלה את כל התפוחים שלנו.
Fun fact, in German nautical language, the word for a distance that can be covered in, that will take 1 day to cover is ein Etmol. And that has to be from Hebrew. I mean, there's no other language that has Etmol meaning that. הילדה אכלה את כל שלנו. The girl ate all of our apples.
הם אמרו שלא.
They said no.
הכלב שלי אכל לי את שיעורי הבית.
My dog ate my homework, an important phrase in any language.
אתה יודע? חשבתי עליהם היום בבוקר.
You know, I thought about this, about them this morning.
היא שמעה אותנו מדברים עליה.
She heard us talk about her. Okay, interesting. So, actually a fairly simple structure there. She heard us talk. I mean, that's actually often a complicated thing in a lot of languages. But here it's just literally, she heard us, we talk, will talk plural about her. Quite simple, and in present tense also. Very interesting.
מה עשיתם לאחרונה?
What have you done recently? Stuff. הם חשבו עליה באחור מדי. They thought about her too late.
איך הוא עשה את זה?
How has he done that? C'est-à-dire le scellé, ou l'animal, ou s'il, style le chanteur. Mais son judiciaire légal, ce serait scellé, mettre sous scellé. Scellé officiel, ça, ben... How was he done?
למה לא הייתם כאן?
Why have you been here? Because I was in other places.
הייתן ביוון לפני חודשיים, לא?
הייתן?
הייתן ביוון לפני חודשיים, לא?
יוון, right. חודשיים, חודש.
הכלב נפל למים.
The dog fell into the water.
למה הם עזבו?
Why have they left? יש לנו שיחים מערכת טובה. ישיחים טובה. ולא ישיחים טובים? das hat nicht keine Logik. לא הייתה שם. You've never been there. You must go there. Fuck l'animal. Ouais. Ouais. Yeah, it's just there's the seal, the singer, you've got the seal as in like signing and sealing or like sealing something off. And then there's seal, the cute sort of marine mammal blob. Yeah, wait, le phoque. Ou la foca.
הלכנו ברחוב ואז נפלנו.
We were walking in the streets and then we fell.
הוא מעולם לא עזב את העיר הזאת.
He has never left this city.
שמעתם מה שאמרתי?
Did you hear what I said? Yes. Lano. Yeah, see, I thought it was Yisichim, but then the only good here was Tova. It's like, and that just doesn't sound right. Me'eret Yisichim. Now it all makes sense. Me'eret Yisichim. Me'erechet Yisichim. Yesh. לנו מארסת ישיחים טובה. טויבה. Okay. I'm going to break a little bit with tradition because I made the rule. Therefore, when you break them and you made them, you're just changing them. I'm gonna switch languages. And what have we got? Italian. Okay. Another one of my working languages. Italian. And a language I just love to speak. So that works. Happy to do some Italian. And let's see, where are we on our... Jesus, everybody is jumping ahead. Rick B here, 2749? Okay, well... Depending on what I'm doing tomorrow, in the afternoon, I might just try to do a long one. Although I don't know, there might be some builders coming and other complications, so I might not be able to. In which case I'll be doing it in the middle of the night.
Avrebbe due fratelli.
She would have two brothers. She would. Kind of weird.
Avrebbe.
That's not really have, it's would have.
Potremmo avere un tavolo fuori?
Could we have a table outside?
Lei starebbe meglio senza te.
That's lovely to say. She would be better without you. Really, better off would be the best way to say that in English?
Dove starebbe il
Dove starebbe il vantaggio?
Vorrei un'insalata di riso.
I would like a rice salad.
Lo farebbero.
They would do it.
Sarebbe meglio non cambiare il piano.
It would be better not to change the plan.
Lei sarebbe la mia...
Lei sarebbe la mia amica.
Una delle due verrebbe.
One of the two would come. The story of many heterosexual relationships. One of the two would come. Although that would be usually uno dei due.
Sarebbe la mia amica.
Sarebbe la mia amica.
Potrebbe.
Verremo di notte.
Verremo di notte.
Lo faremmo.
Lo faremmo.
Lo faremmo.
Lui lo farebbe.
Lui lo farebbe.
Vorrebbe ballare con me.
Potrebbe venire domani.
Just a bookmark in chat so I can see where new messages start. Because I can't see the whole chat window while I'm doing Duolingo.
Mi troverebbe.
He would find me.
Si troverebbe bene.
Si troverebbe bene.
Quelle volte il bambino non andrebbe a scuola.
Not go to school.
Non saprei cosa dire.
I would not know what to say.
Dove lo vedrei?
Where would you see him? Or where would I see him, of course? Vedrei.
Vedrei.
Vedrei, yeah, of course, would I see him? But that's just such a weird question.
Non la conoscerebbe.
He would not know her. Nice, they're all lined up like that.
Conoscerebbe. Non gli diremmo.
We would not tell him.
Non so cosa darei per essere lì.
I do not know what I would give to be there.
Andrebbero.
Which is they would go, really, not so much go.
Direi che è andata bene.
Direi che è andata bene.
Neanche.
That isn't either, though. Either is all. Neanche or neanche is more neither.
Niente. 16.
Trovando.
Vedresti. Senza una guida
Senza una guida locale non troveresti il villaggio.
Saprebbe dove ho messo le mie chiavi? Dove ho messo le mie chiavi?
Ciao,
Ciao, mi daresti il tuo numero? No.
Lei non gli darebbe.
Lei non gli darebbe un regalo.
Dove lo vedrei?
Where would I see him? Or where would I see it as well? that's one thing these exercises could do to emphasize a little bit more in the Romance language, in the languages that don't have a neuter gender. That a lot of the time, and some that do actually as well, that a lot of the time when you have lo and la, or, you know, equivalents of him and her, it actually means it, because it's talking about, it's just the grammatical gender.
Mi porteresti al cancello?
Would you take me to the gates?
Arriveresti senza benzina?
Would you arrive without petrol?
Io chiederei sempre di giocare.
I would always ask to play.
Chiederei.
Which is I would ask. I mean, ask is just chiedere. Chiederei is very specifically I would ask.
Prendereste parte al progetto?
Would you take part in the project?
Lui ci metterebbe di fronte alle nostre responsabilità.
Put us in front of our responsibilities.
Dove la metterebbe?
Dove la metterebbe?
Cosa penserebbero i tuoi amici di te?
What would your friends think of you?
Lui gli parla come parlerebbe a un bambino.
He talks to him like he would talk to a baby, or like one would talk.
Parlerebbe.
Però io ci penserei.
Però io ci penserei 2 volte.
Dove arriverebbe? Arriverebbe. Dove arriverebbe?
Oh, okay. I was just making sure that was the whole thing.
Un progetto importante.
Un progetto importante porterebbe vantaggi.
Ragazzi. Porterei.
Which is I would take, or I would carry, really.
20. Cena.
Quanta? Gli parlerei.
Gli parlerei.
Mi prenderebbero prima di entrare in aeroporto.
Mi metterei le mani nei capelli.
Loro non mi crederebbero.
They would not believe me.
Mi lasceresti andare?
Would you let me go?
I cittadini capirebbero.
The citizens would understand.
Col mio aiuto diventerebbe il migliore.
With my help, he would become the best.
Diventerebbe.
Which is actually he or she or it would become.
Rimarrebbe in famiglia.
It would remain in the family.
Rimarrebbe.
Dopo cena non
rimarrebbe niente.
Terrei sempre un posto per lui.
Always hold a spot for him.
Non me la sentirei di dire.
I would not feel like saying it.
Crederebbe.
Lui non capirebbe.
Lui non capirebbe.
Sentirebbe.
Lui non la lascerebbe.
Lui non la lascerebbe mai.
Forse si sentirebbe meglio
Sì, sentire meglio.
Sempre.
Terrei sempre un posto per lui.
Con mio aiuto diventerebbe il migliore. Non lo userei.
I would not use it.
Venezia è bella ma non ci vivrei.
Venice is beautiful, but I would not live there.
Non entrerebbe senza un po' d'olio.
Okay, it would not enter without a little oil. Enter is not the way I would say it there. What we're talking about is like greasing something, lubricating it to get in to something else. So I would say it wouldn't get in, you know, as in successfully get in.
Un topo non entrerebbe.
Un topo non entrerebbe.
Sono sicura che molti lavorerebbero.
I am sure that many would work.
Come la chiamereste senza telefono?
How would you call her without a telephone?
Cosa ti passerebbe per la testa?
What would pass through your head? That's a bit literal. I mean, we would usually in English say go through your head.
Pensi davvero che si ricorderebbe di noi?
Do you really think he would remember us?
Lui si ricorderebbe.
Lui si ricorderebbe dei suoi vicini.
Vivrebbe.
Ho una sensazione strana.
I have a strange feeling.
La chiamerei
La chiamerei senza pensarci due volte.
No, lei non lavorerebbe mai con lui. Lei non lavorerebbe mai con lui.
Mi passeresti il sale?
Mi passeresti il sale?
Perché lui lo...
Perché lui lo userebbe?
Passeremo le
vacanze a studiare.
Venezia
è bella.
È bella, ma non ci vivrei.
Come? La chiamereste senza telefono.
Io morirei. Nessuno guarderebbe i tuoi disegni.
No one would look at your drawing.
Non mi guarderebbe.
Non mi guarderebbe neanche.
Mi piacerebbe dire di sì.
I would like to say yes.
Piacerebbe.
Chi lo guarderebbe?
Chi lo guarderebbe?
Non lo seguirei.
I would not follow him.
Cosa vi aspettereste di trovare?
What would you expect to find? Oh, I think I may be knocking off pretty soon. As I've said, very little sleep and a lot of exercise today has made me very
Un
tired.
gol all'inizio aprirebbe la partita.
A goal at the beginning will open the match.
In quel momento si
In quel momento si aprirebbe una nuova fase.
Solo a quel punto deciderebbe che cosa fare.
Only at that point would She decide what to do.
Un personaggio
Un personaggio non deciderebbe per il gruppo.
Non aprirei il mio cuore a nessuno di loro. Il mio cuore a nessuno di loro.
Aspetterei un...
Aspetterei un paio di mesi.
Non credo che lo...
Non credo che lo seguirebbero.
Io morirei.
Cosa aspettereste di trovare?
Six of Eights.
Mamma, mi leggeresti una storia?
Would you read me a story?
Leggeresti. Il nuovo progetto cambierebbe tutto.
The new project change everything.
Cambierebbe poco, solo il nome del giocatore.
Cambierebbe poco, solo il nome del giocatore.
Quei giornali scriverebbero di tutto.
Those newspapers would write everything. Would write anything.
Scriverebbero.
Io offrirei una parte a loro.
I would offer a part to them.
Io le unirei.
I would unite them.
Per questa ricetta unirei il formaggio e la salsiccia. Questa ricetta unirei il formaggio e la salsiccia.
Tutto tra noi finirebbe.
Everything would end between us.
Lui sa che non finirà.
Lui sa che non finirebbe così.
Oggi giocherebbe con me.
Today he would play with me.
Scriverebbe.
Ti uniresti a me?
Ti uniresti a me?
Nessun avvocato.
Nessun avvocato offrirebbe di meno.
Oggi giocherebbe con me.
Non
finir mai.
Che cosa succederebbe?
What would happen?
Oggi non penso
Oggi non penso succederebbe.
Cosa risponderebbe lei a questo?
What would she respond to this? Although actually this could be what would you respond to this? Lei as the formal you.
Chi non la proverebbe?
Who wouldn't try it?
Cosa proverebbe?
Cosa proverebbe?
Come lo costruirei?
How would I build it?
Costruirei una...
Costruirei un'altra parete qui.
Lui sa che perderebbe voti.
He knows he would lose votes.
Che indicherebbe?
What would it indicate?
Le suonerei qualcosa.
I would play her something.
Lo mangerei solo se stessi per morire di fame.
I would... oh, se stessi. Okay. For a second I was confused. Se stessi can mean themselves. But it also means if I was about to. Only eat it. To die of hunger.
Suoneresti qualcosa di bello?
Suoneresti qualcosa di bello?
Lui mangerebbe pollo. Lui mangia pollo.
Io indicherei la...
io indicherei l'albergo.
Non so come
Non so come risponderei.
Le.
Suonerei
Qualcosa.
Sì,
Per
un
un anno.
Okay, we have leveled up. We've done today Hebrew, Japanese, and Italian. And considering how tired I am, that's already rather a lot. And we are finishing up on 3rd place in Ruby League, 600 short of 2nd place. And a little over 800 short of 1st. And depending on what happens tomorrow, I will be back either in the afternoon or I'll be back at night. Hopefully not, a little bit more lucid than I am right now. So thank you to everybody who's joined. Thank you to everyone who has made chat lively. And do remember to check out the, let me just repost the link. Check out the Polyglot Conference. The tickets just started, it just went on, it just became available. That's starting on October 1st. Tickets start at 30 quid. Free tickets are available for people who can't pay, since it's actually just a suggested donation. It's a great event, definitely worth checking out. It's all online, all sorts of talks and video conferences and video chats about languages and where people can like practice their languages and all sorts of stuff. It's wonderful. And I would also note, okay, the book that I mentioned about Japanese speech levels that is really excellent. I'm gonna link that in chat as well. That is T-shirt Japanese versus necktie Japanese from the Power Japanese series, and that's available as a paperback and secondhand as well. And if you're interested in getting better at understanding how to use keigo and when not to, that is a book I would very, very highly recommend. Also, watch out for my new series, Learn Korean Through Music, which will be dropping in the next week. First, first for my $5 and up patrons, and then about like 5 days later for everybody else. So that's something to look forward to. I talked about it. There's a video on my YouTube channel talking about how it's going to work and showing a little bit of a sample of it. So please do check that out. Definitely, I think would be quite helpful to people who are trying to learn Korean. So have a good night, and now I am going to get some rest, which I desperately need.